Hi everyone, I'm Allie Owen,
I'm Owen.
and today we're going to talk about the ketogenic diet. Keto, ketosis, ketogenic. We're going to go through what all of those are and what benefits it may have on your body.
We wanted to start off with just what is the ketogenic diet. And it was a diet that was actually first publicized back in the 1920s, and it was used to treat epilepsy patients. They found that it, greatly reduced their episodes. We're mainly talking about weight loss, which is why it's got a lot of attention in the last few years. Basically, the way keto, being in ketosis works is
Wait. What is ketosis and how is that different than keto?
keto is just a term that refers to keto lifestyle and specifically the ketogenic diet. Ketosis is a state that your body enters when it's burning ketones, which is what your body makes when it's not provided a lot of glucose and carbohydrates. So the way to get into ketosis is to restrict carb intake. So it's a high-fat, low-carb diet. When you do that, your body changes from being a glucose-burning machine. Our body likes glucose and it burns it preferentially because it's easy to convert into energy. There are some trade-offs with that. So when your body's doing that, it's also producing insulin, which is what stores that glucose as fat. So if we think about this in kind of evolutionary terms, when we were hunters and gatherers, during the spring and summer, there was a lot of fruits and other things that we got. And that was a signal to your body to say, okay, here is a period where you're going to have a lot of food. Body needs to store energy for months when that's not the case. Now that we live in today's society, we never have a shortage of food. When we constantly feed ourselves on breads and high carbohydrate foods and sugary foods, our body's constantly in that state of saying, okay, I need to stockpile energy for this winter that's never coming. When we take those out of the equation and stop eating those sugary and high carbohydrate foods, our body goes into ketosis, which is where your liver generates ketones out of fat. Your body's taking the fat that's already in your body and converting that to energy directly for use from your muscles and your brain. That's essentially what the diet is and a little bit about how it works.
It takes a couple days to get into ketosis, so you can't just limit your carbohydrates for one meal and then expect your body to be in ketosis. It depends on every person how long it takes, but for me it takes about 3 to 4 days of restricting carbohydrates, and that means below 30 grams of carbs.
A lot of places will recommend below 10 grams, which is pretty challenging to do.
There's a difference between net carbs and regular carbs, I guess I would say.
Basically, if you're reading a nutrition label, people who are doing the ketogenic diet only care about net carbs. So essentially, the idea is that fiber does not count towards your total intake of carbohydrates because your body doesn't break that down into energy. So that will be listed on the nutrition label as a carbohydrate. So you want to take total carbohydrates, subtract out dietary fiber, and that's going to give you your net carbs, which is the amount of carbs that your body's actually going to convert into energy, into glucose.
Yeah, so you can eat a lot of spinach and broccoli and vegetables, which have high carbohydrates, but they also have high fiber, so that doesn't count towards your carbohydrate intake total. So yeah, it takes about 3 to 4 days for me to get into ketosis, but that depends on your metabolism, your body composition, and I notice it. This might be TMI, but my pee starts smelling different.
That's pretty normal. You're actually excreting ketones through your urine. So when you first get into ketosis, your body's making these ketones to try to supply your body with fuel, but part of the challenge is that your body hasn't been converted into a ketone burning machine. So we've lost a lot of the hardware in our mitochondria that can turn ketones into energy. When you first come off of a carbohydrate rich diet into a ketogenic diet, you kind of have to retrain your body, and it has to develop some of that hardware to be able to utilize those ketones effectively. So what you'll see initially is a really high spike in ketones in your blood, or you can measure it with a breathalyzer or pee sticks. So you'll see that kind of spike up initially and come down as your body actually learns to use those ketones, because our body doesn't want to waste anything. Initially we have excess, and then our body kind of evolves to be able to use that, and you'll see that come down. So if you are tracking with one of those methods, which we don't do We just kind of track on how we feel.
Yeah.
But if you are, you can expect that. So if you start to see that level drop, it doesn't mean you're not in ketosis anymore or that you're doing something wrong. It just means that your body's actually becoming adapted to be able to use the energy that's producing.
Yeah, so when we did the ketogenic diet, like we obviously weren't trying to lose weight. There's a bunch of other benefits that come with the ketogenic diet. So I personally noticed my mental clarity, like I could focus for longer, and my blood sugar. I normally like get hangry if I am in a carbohydrate-rich diet because my blood sugar crashes and then I need food to replenish. So when I'm on the ketogenic diet, I feel more like stabilized in my blood sugar, and I think that's pretty common. Tumors feed on glucose, so when you starve your body of glucose, the tumors don't have any food, so they essentially die out.
Whenever we're making new cells, happens more rapidly when we have a ton of energy. There's a lot of food available, a lot of energy available. Our cells preferentially divide then. So when you're in a state of ketosis, that cell division slows down and you stop replacing cells as quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But that does have an impact on cancerous growth and other tumors and things like that. So if they can't divide because your other cells aren't dividing, that limits growth and gives your immune system more time to kind of combat that. And so there's other long-term health benefits from being in ketosis.
So some people choose to use it as like a lifestyle where they're always on a ketogenic diet, and others just do it in cycles. So for like 30, 60, or 90 days, they'll just put their body in ketosis and then come out of it and go back to not a standard American diet, but just like a paleo, and have more carbohydrates then.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's common and something that we do, just because being in ketosis all the time for maybe years at a time, I don't think there's been enough studies done on the effects of that on your body. I think it's okay to be in periods of higher carbohydrate intake, and your body expects that. So we do something similar to that where we we'll do keto very strictly because it is somewhat of a restrictive diet for 30 to 60 days. And then spend another 60 to 90 days doing kind of a standard, I guess more of a paleo diet that's lower in carbohydrates, but you're probably closer to 50 to 60 grams a day. On average, the standard American diet's like over 200, I think. It's like 150 to 200 carbohydrates a day, so much less than that, but also gives us some freedom to expand our palates a little bit too. So it's nice after a period of kind of a more restrictive diet.
I think there's also a lot of fear around the ketogenic diet. Like I know before I did it, I was like, oh, I could never do that. Like I could never restrict my carbs that much. Like I wouldn't have any energy. I would feel awful, and it would just be like I think there was some fear just in the community, like or in not like just amongst people because it's not understood very well. And so I heard like you have to really monitor yourself. Like you have to be really careful, and I think you just have to listen to your body. It would be really hard to go from like a really heavy carbohydrate diet straight into a ketogenic diet. So I would recommend like starting just to decrease your carbohydrates slowly over time to get your body used to not having so many carbs. So yeah, we normally don't eat a high carbohydrate diet.
Yeah, and there's going to be some changes that your body's going to go through. Very much like what Ali was talking about, just kind of monitor yourself through that transition period. And like I said, we don't do any monitoring with a breathalyzer or with any of the pee sticks, the keto sticks. Basically, we just listen to our bodies. If you're feeling really, really lethargic and you feel kind of sick, like it's okay to take a longer time to transition. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no reason you have to go from 100 miles an hour to zero on carb intake, because your body obviously has to adjust to that, and our bodies don't adjust overnight. It takes time to build that machinery and retrain your body to run off of ketones.
So you do your own research and figure out what's best for your body. Consult whomever you like, but also just know that we aren't professionals. We actually are engineers, so we know a little bit about science, but We're not doctors or nutritionists or anything like that. We
That's
do make
good.
muffins though. This channel, we talk about ketogenic diet, paleo diet, and just our own experience. So if you like it, enjoy it, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and we publish videos every week. So hang
Yeah.
out with us on the internet.
Yeah.